Revealed, how a single dad mechanic's incredible kindness transformed a female CEO's life forever. In the shadow of Detroit's crumbling industry, Jake's soul burned bright. A humble mechanic with grease-stained hands and a heart full of kindness, he faced every day with unwavering determination. Each morning, he rose before dawn, the weight of bills and life pulling at his shoulders like heavy chains. Yet, he greeted the day with a smile, his 10-year-old son Ben often at his side, sharing pancakes made with love and a touch of humor. "Let us conquer the world, buddy," he'd say, casting aside the gloom that often clouded their lives. But one fateful day, everything changed. At a pancake breakfast intended to bring the neighborhood together, Jake watched Ben, shy and introverted, stand by himself. Then he spotted her, Sarah, the impeccably dressed CEO whose presence commanded the room. She was a world away from him, yet her daughter, Ava, bright and vivacious, sparked something in Ben. They began to talk, laughter bubbling like a joyful melody amidst a cacophony of chatter. For a moment, Jake felt hope rise up in him, like the sun breaking through clouds. Jake and Sarah exchanged glances, an awkward connection igniting. Though their worlds felt impossibly distant, each saw a flicker of kindred spirit in the other. Sarah, with her tailored suit and corporate gloss, carried the weight of her own struggles, hidden beneath a polished exterior. As they exchanged tentative smiles, there was warmth, a comforting human connection amid the chaos. "Can you believe how well they hit it off?" Sarah remarked, her eyes bright with something resembling relief. Jake nodded, his heart swelling with pride. He spoke about his commitment to community and how he believed in lending a hand to neighbors in need. "It's tough out here, but we're tougher. We're family," he said, conviction spilling from his lips. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the pancake breakfast unfolded, the warmth of budding friendship wrapped around them, but trouble lingered in the air like static. A series of robberies had rattled their community, and Jake sensed a collective anxiety, a fear that threatened the fragile connections they were building. He organized a community meeting, a gathering born from hope and desperation. In that moment of vulnerability, surrounded by concerned faces, Sarah shared her loneliness. "I feel like I'm losing my daughter to my career. I'm here, but not really here." Jake, echoing her pain, spoke about the struggle of keeping a roof over Ben's head while being there for him emotionally. Their worlds collided in a way that felt both terrifying and beautiful, igniting a trail of connection. But as if testing their newfound bond, chaos erupted when Ava went missing during a community outing. The panic that ripped through their neighborhood was palpable. Fear hung heavy in the air as parents' eyes filled with terror. Jake's heart raced, driven by a primal instinct to protect, and Sarah was at his side, the fierce love for her daughter coursing through her veins. Together, they began the frantic search, hearts pounding as they called for Ava, deepening their respect and understanding for one another. Each moment brought clarity about the sacrifices they made for their children. They realized their ideals of success were forged through love and resilience, shattering any preconceived notions about privilege and hardship. As they faced the relentless search, the neighborhood stood together, united by a common purpose, leaving Jake and Sarah contemplating what it truly means to belong and succeed. Just as their hopes soared for Ava's safe return, an unexpected revelation threatened to unravel everything they had begun to heal. Would they emerge stronger from this crisis, or would the chasm between their lives pull them apart? The answers loomed on the horizon, as they stood shoulder to shoulder, hearts intertwined at a crucial crossroads. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the worried faces of Jake, Sarah, and the gathered neighbors. Each minute stretched painfully, time crawling as they called Ava's name into the gathering twilight. Panic and determination twisted together inside Jake, a palpable urgency that thrummed in his veins. His own son, Ben, stood close by, worry etched across his young features. "Keep looking," Jake urged, his voice strong but laced with anxiety. He scanned the nearby park where laughter had once filled the air. The swings stood still like silent sentinels watching over the chaos unfolding around them. Frantic parents delved into every nook and cranny, their minds racing with fear, while Jake focused on keeping Ben close. "Stay where I can see you, buddy." The community that had come together for pancakes now split into frantic search parties. Sarah, her heart pounding, moved to join a group scanning the adjacent woods. "Ava! Where are you?" she shouted, her voice carrying a mother's desperation. Each unanswered call twisted the knife of worry deeper into her soul. There was nothing that felt further from success than this moment of loss. As the search pressed on, Jake and Sarah found themselves side by side again. Words flowed between them, encouragement, fears, plans. Their connection deepened amidst the chaos. They shared a glance that held an understanding much deeper than words could convey, a bond formed in desperation. This moment was no longer just about finding Ava, it was about something larger, their lives colliding and intertwining in ways they had never anticipated. Suddenly, a scream pierced the evening air, freezing everyone in their tracks. A woman emerged from the trees, breathless and wild-eyed. "I found her. I found Ava." The words spilled from her lips like a life raft thrown into turbulent waters. Jake and Sarah dashed toward her, hearts racing as they followed her lead deeper into the woods. The rustling of leaves and snapping twigs echoed around them, mirroring their pounding hearts. Hope surged within Sarah, but doubt lingered, dark and heavy. Would Ava be okay? They burst into a clearing, and there, sitting quietly on a log, was Ava. She looked up, her eyes wide and a bit frightened, but unharmed. Relief washed over Sarah in a wave that almost brought her to her knees. "Ava!" she cried, rushing forward, arms wide open. Jake stepped back, an unexpected tightness filling his throat as he watched the reunion unfold. The intensity of parental love and raw relief washed over him. In that brief moment, he realized how connected they were, how their lives intertwined more than just as neighbors in a community but as fellow parents sharing an emotional storm. As Sarah swept Ava into her arms, all his thoughts of being just a mechanic faded. He had been more to this moment than he ever acknowledged. He was part of this fabric, part of their lives woven together through chaos and courage. As they made their way back to the gathering crowd, laughter began to ripple through the anxious air. The storm had passed, but the connection between Jake and Sarah felt undeniable. Yet, anxiety whispered in the back of Jake's mind. Would this bond hold, or would the challenges of their worlds pull them back apart? Once they reunited with the group, the tension began to release, and gratefulness enveloped them all. But even as they basked in the moment, shadows loomed from the past, the robberies, the fear, and Jake sensed that their fight wasn't over. The real test of their connection was just beginning, alongside the secrets that could threaten to unravel everything they had formed. What would it take to bridge the gap between their lives? Would they come together, or would the reality of their separate worlds break the fragile bond they had forged this day? The answers hung in the air, as lingering as their hope for a brighter tomorrow. The air buzzed with laughter and relief as Ava settled into Sarah's arms. But amidst the joy, a shadow loomed over Jake. He felt it gnawing at him, the weight of worry still hanging heavy in his chest. This incident was just a fleeting moment, wasn't it? The robberies hadn't stopped, and the problems that plagued the neighborhood still loomed large. "Jake? Are you okay?" Ben's small voice broke through Jake's thoughts, pulling him back to the present. The boy's brow was furrowed, sensing his father's unease. "Ava is okay, right?" Jake placed a reassuring hand on his son's shoulder. "Yeah, buddy. She's fine. That's what matters." But even as he spoke, doubt flickered in his mind. Sarah and Ava returned to the crowd, their faces glowing with warmth. Every parent shared relieved smiles and tight hugs, but soon the hushed conversations turned back to the problems that had been overshadowed by the search. Whispers about safety, the robberies, and the fear they instilled echoed through the gathering. Jake felt an overwhelming desire to protect this community he called home. He glanced over at Sarah, deeply engaged in conversation with the woman who had found Ava. There was something so pure in their connection, something he not only admired but also yearned for. Could he stand by while the safety of their neighborhood continued to be challenged? A voice broke through the crowd, rough yet steady. "We need to do something about this. We can't let fear rule our lives." It was Mr. Thompson, a near veteran of the community who always rallied the townsfolk during tough times. Everyone nodded, fired up by his words. Jake's heart raced, ideas coiling in his mind. Maybe it was time for him to step up. He had tools, skills, and a sense of community that they could harness. But how would he express this to Sarah? Would she back him? They had only barely begun to connect, and he didn't want to jeopardize that fragile bond. "Jake! You should say something." Ben tugged at his sleeve, eyes wide with belief. Taking a deep breath, Jake stepped forward. "I've been thinking maybe we can organize a neighborhood watch or something similar. We could rally together, keep an eye on things, support each other." The words came tumbling out, infused with a determination that surprised even him. What did it matter if he was just a mechanic? Cheers rose from the crowd, faces lighting up with enthusiasm. Encouragement surged through him, inviting him to forge ahead. They could become stronger together. As he caught Sarah's eye, she smiled, a supportive, genuine smile that filled Jake's heart with warmth, igniting something deep within. "Yes. Let us make this happen." Sarah's voice rang out above the crowd. There was grit in her expression that made it clear she was in. But just as Jake felt the thrill of action rising, the shadows danced once more. Could he hold on to this newfound unity and friendship amidst the undercurrents of concern? As they began to discuss logistics, a sudden scream pierced the night once more. Anxiety charged the air, echoing Jake's worst fears. What had happened now? He quickly scanned the gathering, heartbeat quickening. What was that? Ben shouted, fear creeping into his voice again. Before Jake could respond, he noticed a flash of movement in the shadows beyond the gathering, a figure slipping away. The energy shifted from celebration to confusion and terror. Was this just an innocent bystander or something worse? His heart raced, his protective instincts surging to the forefront. Jake knew he had to act. But could he bring the community together to face whatever darkness loomed ahead? Or would fear scatter them once more, leaving them vulnerable and alone? The answers waited behind that figure, shrouded in mystery and danger. What he did next would change everything. Jake's heart hammered in his chest as he darted toward the edge of the gathering. The air, once thick with laughter, was now laced with tension. The chill of impending danger sent tremors through him. He spotted the shadow again, moving swiftly, trying to disappear into the darkness. "Stay close, Ben." Jake barked, his voice steady despite the anxious pulse racing through him. Ben clutched his father's hand tighter, eyes wide with fear. Jake hesitated for just a moment, glancing back at the crowd, where Sarah stood open-mouthed, her expression shifting from joy to panic. She instinctively began to approach him, determination etched across her face. It fueled Jake's urgency. "Let us get everyone together." He called out, his voice slicing through the air like a lighthouse beam cutting through fog. The crowd started to murmur, faces shifting as they sensed his fear but also felt his resolve. "Follow me," Jake shouted. "We might need to check out what is going on." People began to rally, their earlier excitement morphing into a shared instinct for protection. Jake led them toward the shadows, the flickering streetlights casting ghostly figures across the pavement. Just as they approached the alley, a low growl echoed, sharp and guttural. Panic exploded, and gasps filled the air. What was that? Someone called, and Jake's heart sank. Whatever lurked in the darkness could be dangerous. But dim flickers of movement caught his eye. A small, stray dog emerged, ruffled and trembling. Relief washed over him. The shadow had been nothing but an innocent creature seeking safety from the chaos around. Yet, the tight knots of fear in the villagers lingered. "Is it hurt?" Ben's voice broke through, soft and worried. Jake stepped forward cautiously, kneeling to comfort the trembling pup, only to find its collar, worn and frayed. "This little guy is lost," he said, tenderness warming his voice. "We can help him." And then Sarah was beside him, her features softening as she reached out to stroke the dog. "We should find his owner," she suggested, her presence grounding him amid the storm of adrenaline swirling around him. "Maybe we can get the whole neighborhood involved." The crowd began to murmur again, some suggesting they post about the dog online, while others offered to take him in until they found his home. Excitement replaced their fear, the dog unwittingly reminding them of their unity. Jake smiled as he watched Ben's eyes sparkle with hope. "See, buddy. We're already helping." But as the conversations buzzed, Jake's mind wandered back to the shadow in the alley. Was it really just a dog? What if there was something more lurking nearby, something threatening yet unseen? Questions haunted him, weaving worry back into his heart. "Maybe we should consider that watch idea again," Jake said, looking around the gathered neighbors, their growing camaraderie sparking unity. But before he could dive deeper into that idea, a voice from the crowd called out. "What if it wasn't just the dog? What if something worse is out there?" A chill ran through Jake. He felt the eyes of the community on him, searching, hungry for the reassurance he was ready to offer. But what if he was not enough? What if he failed them all? As he caught Sarah's gaze once more, something flickered between them, an unsaid promise to help each other. Could they band together, stand strong against the fears hidden in the shadows? Without waiting for an answer, Jake stepped forward, resolute. "Let us protect this community. Together. We can do this." Yet, as cheers erupted around him, the lingering doubt whispered back, could they really face the shadows on the horizon? Jake felt a swell of determination at the cheers from the crowd, but doubt weighed heavily on his shoulders. The shadows loomed in his mind, reflecting deeper fears that had settled into his heart. He scanned the faces around him, some were filled with hope, others still twitching with anxiety. "All right, everyone," he shouted, trying to harness the raw energy pulsing through the gathered neighbors. "Let us form groups and check the neighborhood. We need to ensure everyone feels safe, especially the kids." As he spoke, he felt a surge of pride in Ben, who stood at his side, nodding vigorously. "Yeah. Let us go find the bad guys," Ben shouted, eyes shining with youthful bravado. His innocence ignited the crowd's laughter, momentarily dispelling their darker thoughts. "Let us keep it calm," Jake added, trying to regain control of the energy. "It's just about making sure we're all right." He turned, looking toward Sarah. They shared a moment, both recognizing the heavy responsibility resting on Jake's shoulders. "I'll go with you," she said, stepping forward. Together, they split the crowd into smaller groups. Jake felt fortified by Sarah's presence, and the two led a small gathering through the dimly lit streets, flashlights slicing through the darkness. As they walked, Ben tugged at his dad's pant leg, his voice small and inquisitive. "Dad, what if there really is something scary out here?" Jake knelt before him, the chill of the pavement sinking into his jeans. "Sometimes things seem scarier than they really are. We've got to look out for each other. That's what makes us strong." He hugged Ben close, feeling the warmth of his son's body amidst the growing cold. "Okay." Ben beamed, reassurance sparking back to life in his eyes. As they continued down the street, laughter and nervous chatter filled the air around them. The community was rallying, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The shadow that had first caught his eye still lingered in the back of his mind, nagging at him like a raw nerve. Suddenly, a scream pierced the veil of laughter. Jake's heart jolted in his chest as he turned toward the source. A woman in the crowd stood stock still, pointing toward the trees lining the street. "There, I saw something. Right there." Jake's instincts kicked in, grounding his fears. Without hesitation, he sprang into action. "Everyone stay together. Let us move closer." He felt the group tighten around him, the collective energy buzzing with tension. Just then, the low growl erupted once more, deeper now, a threatening rumble that sent chills down Jake's spine. Fear twisted everyone's face as they realized it was not just the dog that could be hiding in the shadows. They advanced cautiously, Jake leading the way, heart pounding harder with every step. Then he saw a pair of eyes gleaming in the darkness, unflinching and watching. Fear gripped him, and as he stood frozen, he realized the gaze didn't belong to the stray or any other creature he could have imagined. Sarah's voice broke through the silence, trembling, "What is that?" For a split second, they were all frozen, the weight of their collective fear holding them back. And then the eyes shifted, the figure retreating into the darkness just as quickly as it appeared. Jake could hear everyone's breath catching, the confused whispers, the shuffling feet. What had they just faced? The question hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. "Something less innocent than a lost dog," Jake whispered, adrenaline flooding through him once more. He felt the shift in the group. The sense of safety began to unravel. There was something sinister lurking in the dark, and they had only just begun to understand the gravity of their situation. With a new flicker of urgency igniting within him, Jake turned to the community. "Stay alert. We need to make sure this place is safe." But deep down inside, as they regrouped, a chilling thought took root in his mind. Was this just the beginning? Jake's heart raced as tensions rose within the group. He could feel it, the uncertainty, the unspoken fear clawing at the edges of their resolve. The once unified crowd now felt splintered, each person battling their own wave of worry. "Let us not panic," Jake said, his voice strained but steady. "Keep your flashlights up. We can't let whatever that was keep us from protecting our home. Keep moving." Nervously, the group shuffled forward, eyes flitting to the trees, the shadows dancing with the flicker of their beams. Each rustle made them jump, each whisper felt amplified. Beside him, Sarah kept her flashlight steady, her expression resolute but laced with concern. "Jake," she whispered, voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. "Do you really think we can find it? Whatever it was?" "I don't know," he admitted, dread pooling in his stomach. "But we can't stand here. We need to keep moving." Just then, a burst of laughter echoed from a nearby group, a momentary distraction that reminded them life didn't stop just because fear crept in. But that laughter was soon muffled when a heavy silence returned, the weight of uncertainty pushing down on them. As they approached the cluster of trees, Jake stopped. He raised his flashlight toward the trunk of a large oak, where the shadows pooled thickest. "Maybe it's just a trick of the light," someone suggested, but even he didn't sound convincingly optimistic. "Let us check it out," Jake said. He stepped ahead cautiously, Sarah just behind him. They crept forward, hearts pounding in sync. Suddenly, from the bushes at the base of the tree, something darted out fast and low, like a flash of darkness. Jake barely had time to react when there was another scream from behind him. He turned, adrenaline surging, ready for anything, but all he saw was Ben, eyes wide, pointing at the spot where the creature had vanished. "What was that?" Ben cried, clenching his fists against his chest. "I don't know, buddy," Jake started, scanning the area frantically. Once again, the fear rippled through the group, erasing the last remnants of their earlier laughter. Another growl echoed through the trees, closer this time, a warning that chilled them all. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down like a heavy blanket. "Listen up. We're going to stick together. Everyone, take a step back, and let us take a look." The crowd instinctively shifted, pressing closer together, trying to find safety in numbers. Jake and Sarah approached the bushes, their flashlights piercing the dark. Maybe we can scare it off, Jake suggested. On the count of 3, we'll all yell. 1, 2, but before they could reach 3, a figure burst from the brush. This time, it didn't run away. A man, disheveled, wild-eyed, staggered into the light, holding his hands up in surrender. The collective gasp was palpable. Jake's mind whirled. Who was this? If this was the threat, where had he come from? It's okay. It's okay. The man shouted, though his voice carried an unsettling tremor. I didn't mean to scare anyone. I thought you were never mind. Please. Just hear me out. Jake exchanged glances with Sarah, confusion mingling with fear. What do you mean you thought we were what? He called back. The man lowered his hands, eyes darting between the crowd and the shadows behind him. I can explain. I can help you. What the hell is going on? Jake demanded. The man looked desperate, a flicker of fear in his eyes. Please. Just listen. Jake stood at the brink, uncertainty swirling within him. Was this man a friend or foe? His grip tightened on his flashlight, heart hammering against his chest. But before he could decide, a rustle from the trees behind the man made them all freeze. The night was only just beginning, and Jake felt an eerie realization creep in. Something was hunting them, and the man in front of him might just know the truth. Would they dare to unravel it, or would fear keep them in the dark? Jake's heart raced even faster as the rustling intensified. The crowd's uneasy murmurs filled the air, drowning out all rational thought. He shot a quick glance at Sarah, her worry etched deeper in her brow. Stay close, he whispered, beginning to edge toward the wild-eyed man. What do you know? Not here. The man urged, glancing nervously at the trees. We need to get out of sight. It's not safe. They won't stop until they get what they want. A collective tremor rippled through the group. They were no longer merely afraid of the unknown, now they were caught in a web of urgency. Jake could feel it. An instinctual drive pushed him forward. He had always been the protector, that was his role in this group. Okay, then lead us, Jake said, an edge of commanding authority slipping into his tone. But we need answers. No more running in circles. The man nodded, backing away cautiously, his eyes darting. My name is Leo. I'll explain everything, but we need to move now. As they started walking, Jake could feel the tension in the air crackling. What kind of trouble had this man stumbled into? Leo led them deeper into the thicket, away from the trees that felt like they were closing in on them, shadows swirling with a life of their own. The crunch of leaves underfoot sounded deafening. Why were you out here alone? Jake asked, keeping his voice measured. Leo paused to collect his breath. I was looking for something. Something important. But I'm not the only one. His voice lowered, urgency coating every syllable. There are others. Some aren't friendly, not anymore. They are out for blood. Jake exchanged a worried glance with Sarah. Blood? The word sent a chill down his spine. What did you find? I can't tell you here. We'll talk when we're safe. A muffled noise echoed in the distance, and Jake's blood ran cold. It was a growl, unmistakably close now. The urgency shifted, morphing into pure instinct. As they pushed deeper into the woods, Leo suddenly stopped, raising a finger to his lips. The group fell silent, confusion painted on their faces. They stared into the darkness, waiting for the impending attack. Jake held his breath, adrenaline surging as he squinted through the blackness. And then it came like a flash silhouetted against a beam of moonlight, the same dark figure darted through the trees, fierce and graceful. It paused, and Jake's heart seized. Its sharp eyes fixed on them, glowing like embers. That's one of them, whispered Leo, fear gripping his voice. Jake's instincts kicked in again. We can't show fear, he said firmly, lowering himself into a ready stance while wildly scanning the area. But as the creature lurked closer, the faint shimmer in its eyes began to shift. Jake felt an odd connection, a flicker of recognition mingling with the overwhelming dread that gripped him. Why did it feel so familiar? In that moment, a strange knot formed in his stomach. What is it? Leo stepped back slightly, seemingly prepared to bolt at a moment's notice. It's a protector, sort of, he hesitated, glancing between Jake and the creature. But I think it's confused. We need to show it we're not a threat. Jake's mind raced. He had always perceived threats as black and white, yet here was a creature that seemed to defy his understanding. We can't just leave it, Jake said, feeling both fear and empathy collide within him. Are you insane? Ben exclaimed, his voice bordering on panic. It might attack. Before he could respond, another growl reverberated through the air, this one sharper, more menacing than before. The shadows shifted again, and something far more menacing lurked just beyond the edge of the flashlight's beam, watching, waiting. Get back! Leo shouted as he threw his body in front of Jake, but Jake felt an unfamiliar determination rising. Wait! Jake shouted, stepping forward. We need to know what's going on. If there's something hunting us, we can't run in fear. We need to figure out why we're being hunted. His heart thundered as he realized they were at a turning point, standing in the face of the unknown. But the shadows continued to close in, and he felt the ground shifting beneath their feet. Would the answer lie in embracing the fear, or in confronting it head-on? As he stood there, poised between choice and consequence, Jake knew this moment would define them all. A figure began to emerge from the darkness behind the creature, and Jake's breath hitched. Something far more dangerous was approaching, and now, everything they believed was about to change forever. The new figure stepped out from the shadows, tall and imposing, cloaked in darkness. A chill swept through the group, and Jake felt a surge of adrenaline course through him. He faced the newcomers, heart racing harder than before. He could see their eyes sharp and calculating, fixed on him like they had already decided his fate. Stay close together. Jake barked, instinctively moving in front of Sarah and the others. Leo's presence beside him seemed to anchor him, even as fear threatened to swallow them whole. The creature brushed against Jake's leg, its fur was warm and reassuring in the chaos. It's okay, Jake murmured, hoping to calm himself as much as to soothe the beast. The tall figure spoke, its voice low and gravelly. You shouldn't be here. It didn't sound like a warning, it was a statement, offering no room for arguments. But we need to know what's going on. Jake shouted back, desperation raising his voice. Why are we being hunted? What are you? Who are you? The figure stepped forward into the dim light, revealing an intense gaze and wild features. We are the guardians of this forest, it replied, each word heavy with authority. There are things lurking that you can't begin to comprehend. What do you mean? Ben interrupted, his voice quaking. What are we dealing with? Hunters, the figure answered, raising a hand to the treetops, where the darkness seemed to swirl and pulse like a living organism. They want what's hidden in these woods. They'll stop at nothing to find it. Jake's mind raced. You mean like Leo? He pressed. Is that why they're after him? The figure cast a sideways glance at Leo, whose breath quickened at the mention of his name. Yes, it confirmed. He carries knowledge that can tip the scales of power. Leo opened his mouth to respond but hesitated, eyeing the encroaching shadows with dread. I didn't ask for this. He finally exclaimed, the weight of fear palpable in his tone. I was trying to help. Help? The figure scoffed, its frustration spilling into the air. In this world, help has consequences. Uncertainty hung thick in the air. Jake stepped forward, looking the figure in the eye. So what's the plan? Is there a way out of this? Suddenly, a piercing howl echoed through the trees, followed by a rustle that sounded more menacing than any breeze could muster. The group tensed, instinctively drawing together. This way. The guardian commanded, turning sharply and plunging back into the darkness. Without thinking, Jake grabbed Sarah, pulling her with him as they followed Leo and the Guardian into the unknown. Each footfall felt heavier, their safety relying on the faith that they were heading towards something, not away from it. As they ran, Leo's voice broke through the cacophony of anxiety. "I saw something. It's hidden deep in these woods, and they'll tear this place apart trying to get to it. We can't let that happen." "What do you mean?" Jake asked, his breathing heavy as they navigated the undergrowth. "How do we stop them?" Leo glanced back, terror etched on his face. "If we don't protect it, it could fall into the wrong hands. It's too powerful." With every step, the unsettling weight of purpose settled among them. Jake's heart raced with the tension of what was ahead. They were no longer fighting against fear, they were now fighting for something greater. As they breached a clearing, a faint glow emanated from the center, illuminating their path. Jake felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos, but it was soon suffocated by the deepening shadows creeping around them. "Whatever it is, we need to get there," he urged, determination fueling his voice. But as they drew closer, the growl from earlier returned, louder, infused with a feral rage that felt almost alive. "Jake!" Sarah yelled, pulling on his arm. "We have to hurry. It's right behind us." With no time to waste, Jake took a deep breath, knowing this was the moment they'd all been pushed toward. But as the glow brightened, so did the shadows around them, revealing the fearsome shape of what hunted them. Were they prepared to face it, or was this fear just the beginning of a much darker path? The next choice would change everything. The ground shook beneath their feet, a guttural growl vibrating through the air. Jake could see it now, a hulking figure emerging from the shadows, its fur matted and dark, eyes glowing like embers in a dying fire. Every instinct screamed for him to turn and run, to escape, but he stood his ground, heart pounding against his ribs. "Keep moving," the Guardian shouted over the howling wind. They were seconds away from the glow. It pulsed, flickering like a heartbeat, and in that moment, hope battled against fear. Jake pulled Sarah closer, her fingers gripping his arm tightly. He could see Ben and Leo's faces, wide-eyed with terror and determination. They had come too far to back down now. "Don't look back," Jake urged, gathering every ounce of courage he could muster. The Guardian led the charge, weaving between the trees as the monstrous figure followed closely behind. It was a dance of survival, and they needed all the strength they could find. As they sprinted toward the light, Jake stole a glance behind him. The creature was faster than he imagined, its powerful legs propelling it effortlessly forward, a predator on the hunt. Panic surged through him. What if they didn't make it? "Leo!" he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "What's the plan? What do we do when we reach the light?" Leo's breath was hot and ragged as he kept pace. "We have to protect it. If the hunters find it first," his voice trailed off, the words hanging heavy with unspoken fears. "What if it's not just about protecting it? What if it's about unleashing it?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "What if this thing changes everything?" Jake's heart sank at her words. What if they were unleashing something far worse? He didn't know. They didn't have time to ponder. The shadows loomed closer, reaching out toward them like grasping hands. Suddenly, they burst into the clearing. The glow enveloped them, illuminating every corner like daylight. It was beautiful and strange, sparking with energy, casting shimmering reflections all around. Jake felt a surge of something indescribable. But their moment of awe was cut short. The creature halted at the edge of the light, snarling, hesitating at the boundary. It could sense the power but seemed reluctant to enter. "What is it?" Jake wondered aloud. The Guardian stepped forward, raising a hand. "It is afraid," they said, their voice now clearer. "And for good reason. It knows this power can be both a gift and a curse. It must choose." The growling creature circled the boundary, muscles tensing, and Jake could feel the weight of the decision pressing on them all. He glanced at Leo, who looked as though he was grappling with a harsh truth. Leo, why is it afraid? Jake pressed. What happens if it enters? There's more to this than we understand, Leo said, voice trembling. It's bound by rules and consequences. If it taps into the power within this light, it could become something beyond our control. Josh swallowed hard, dread pooling in his stomach. They had come to protect something, but what if it meant losing everything instead? Just as a deeper howl echoed through the trees, the shadows seemed to darken, coiling tighter around them. The creature's eyes flared, narrowing in fierce intensity. It was time to make a choice. Jake. Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, laced with urgency. We have to decide. Do we stop it, or do we let it in? Jake felt the breath catch in his throat as the gaze of the creature met his. In that moment, the fate of the forest, of Leo, and even their own futures hung in the balance. What did they risk by letting it in, and what would they lose by denying it? With the world on the brink of chaos and darkness clawing at their heels, this decision could change everything. As the tension sharpened, he knew one thing: whatever they chose, it would echo through the very fabric of their existence. Would they dare to confront the power waiting just beyond the light? In the stillness of the glowing clearing, Jake felt the weight of the world resting on his shoulders. The creature's eyes bore into his soul, challenging him to decide between two paths: a leap of faith or a retreat into the familiarity of fear. The shadows around them danced menacingly, closing them in, and he realized that the choice wasn't just about the creature. This was a choice for their community, for Ben, and for everyone who had come together. Listen, Jake said, voice steady with newfound resolve. We can't run away from this anymore. We've faced darkness together, and now we have to decide what light means to us. Sarah's hand squeezed his tightly, and he could feel her courage balancing his own wavering heart. You're right. Whatever is happening, we need to face it as one. Her eyes sparkled with determination, reminding him of all they had already overcome. Leo, catching on to their momentum, nodded. If the creature's senses were afraid, it will respond in fear as well. We need to show it our strength. Jake took a deep breath, drawing on all the empathy he had learned being a father and a mechanic, holding faith in the bond of community. Okay, let it in, he called. Let us show it we mean it no harm. The guardian stepped forward, a knowing look crossing its face as it added, sometimes the greatest strength comes from vulnerability. With resolve, they took a collective step closer to the light, a formation of hope and courage. The glowing energy pulsed, inviting them in. As they moved together, arms lifted, hands joined, a wave of warmth enveloped them. They weren't alone, they were connected, a tapestry of strength woven from shared struggles and dreams. The creature hesitated, the growl fading, uncertainty flickering in its fierce eyes. But then, as if answering a call, it moved forward, crossing into the light. Jake watched in awe as the shadows receded and the glow brightened, encasing the creature in a shimmering aura. In that instant, the ground beneath them shook, but this time it wasn't out of fear. It transformed into something powerful, a blossoming energy. The clearing filled with rituals of light and warmth, and the darkness shrank back. The guardian held their ground, standing protectively beside the creature. You've shown power through unity, and now, together you'll protect this land. Relief flooded through Jake, heart swelling with hope and pride. They had faced the shadow together, revealing a strength forged in connection, in love, and in courage. But it wasn't just enough to be safe, they were now part of something larger. The energy radiated out, connecting the forest, the community, and even the parts of themselves that they had kept hidden. It was a moment of awakening, clarity washing over him like sunlight breaking through clouds. Community doesn't just protect, it transforms, Jake whispered, feeling the depths of truth resonate within him. As the glow settled into a calm, warm luminescence, everyone around him breathed a collective sigh of relief. Leo grinned, mirroring the relief evident in everyone's faces. We did it. Not just for ourselves but for each other and every family in our neighborhood. Through the clearing, murmurs of gratitude and hope danced in the air as people stepped forward, united. They had transformed the fear into a shared purpose, a neighborhood reborn from the ashes of uncertainty. Jake quickly turned to Sarah, who beamed back at him, her bright smile a reflection of their journey. "We did this together," she said, emotion filling her voice. "And I couldn't have done this without you. You made me believe in more than just survival," Jake replied, feeling lighter than he had in years. "You showed me what family can be." He looked down at Ben, whose wide eyes sparkled like the light surrounding them, filling Jake with pride. "We're going to make our place feel safe, aren't we, buddy?" Ben nodded vigorously, his spirit reignited. "Yeah. And everyone will come together," he exclaimed. "Just like today." The clearing shimmered around them, reflecting their resolve. And as they turned back to the horizon, ready to share their story with the community, Jake knew they would stand firm against whatever shadows dared to cross their paths again. Hope was alive. Hope was tangible, and together, they would build a future forged in love and connection. In the heart of those woods beneath the vibrant stars, a new chapter began, one filled with resilience, family, and the collective strength of a united community. They were ready. Now, dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that can inspire us all. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, helping others hear this tale of transformation. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this absolutely heartwarming ending. Your voice matters. And finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. Don't wait not even one more second. Your support can make a difference.